Welcome back. We're going to check on in with Mike Eppel. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
You were untangled with the wires. You had a bit of
I figured it out
something
finally.
happening. Okay, we are good to go. This is commercial break. This is Mike Eppel in commercial break.
It's like,
We're fine. We're fine.
It's like untangling Christmas lights.
Or I was going to say a cat in yarn. It was very like do. But we're good to go now. We're back in business, and potentially seeing that Boeing 737 back to the air. It's an interesting one. It's been very controversial, of course.
Yeah, of course. With Transport Canada reportedly set to approve the recertification of the 737 MAX, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration a couple of weeks back gave their green light for the 737 to return to the skies. So some of the American airlines have been gearing up for that at the end of this month. One of the major airlines in Brazil is already using the 737 MAX again. Transport Canada said, well, we want to put a couple of extra safety measures in place, including the requirement that pilots have flight simulator training on the operating system on this plane, because that was part of the issue before. They, not Canadian pilots specifically, but it was learned that those involved in those two fatal crashes overseas, they just didn't know all of the new systems in this aircraft. And there are multiple redundancies with the airspeed controls on the side of the planes. That was a problem in the first go-round as well. So, this is probably the most scrutinized aircraft in history at this point, Melanie, and that's all about rebuilding confidence. Now, the other thing, too, going on in the airline industry, should mention this, that because airlines have been grounding or parking their planes for months now, the regulators are saying, before you start bringing some of those planes back into service, double check, triple check the systems. And it's not just the Boeing planes, it's Airbus, because apparently when planes sit around, it's like your car.
Right.
You start it up and it's kind of like, maybe want to change the oil,
Yeah.
And pilots also need to be in the simulators, because you lose some of the nuances of using technical an aircraft on a daily basis.
100%.
It's a skill, right? You got to keep. It's like training for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. You got to keep in shape.
Well, and you have lives in your hands, right? And so
absolutely,
very important. All right, let's talk about Coca-Cola investing locally. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah, they are putting tens of millions of dollars actually into bottling plants in Toronto and Brampton. And this is about this move related to local production. This has been a theme this year, with the global economy shut down, procurement of whatever. It's like, why aren't these things made here? And people have been consumers have been on a local push, right? So Coca-Cola is saying, well, instead of importing from the U.S., why not do it at the bottling plants that we've already got here at home? You put the local label on it. It's partly a sales gimmick, right, granted, but this might be a big trend for 2021. People shopping locally, looking for Canadian-made items.
Absolutely. Okay, we had an interesting conversation with the Prime Minister yesterday, and you picked up on something really interesting when it came to the carbon tax and those rebates.
Yeah, I think this is, it still has to be put into legislation that the carbon taxes are going to be going up on gasoline, home heating costs, all of these things which will cost consumers more. That is definite, but the Prime Minister was saying about this idea that consumers will actually get back more than what they're spending on increased carbon taxes. They're trying to shift trends right away from to a carbon neutral state. But it's the idea of a rebate check as opposed to the first go round on this, which was a tax rebate. And when they did that, you fill out the forms on your taxes, or maybe your accountant does it. You don't feel it. You don't see it. It's not tangible. And you're going, great, gas prices are going up and everything's costing more, even though you're getting it back in your tax bill. If you get a check every 3 months, that's something. Now, whether or not people will save it or spend it or what have you, that's another debate. But that's going to be a very interesting trend as well.
I just want to get mail. Mail. Nice, right?
Hey, again, Christmas cards.
Yeah, I'm starting to get all of them now. I think there was a backlog, and now I had like 2 for the first few weeks, and now I've got like 20 that are just piling up.
See?
It's awesome. Mike, I'm sure you think we don't notice, but we notice. If we get to take a full shot of Mike Eppel and have a look behind him in there. There it is. We see what's over your shoulder, and that is what we presented you with, Brian Horn, our graphics department, a trophy for your 10 out of 10 Room Raider rating for your backdrop.
Toy Tractor Room 2020. There you go.
Now,
but I think this is now, is this the challenge every day you have to spot the difference?
That's it. Okay, so we did it. We did it for day one. So do something different. We'll find it.
This is as bad as the elf on the shelf. I got to figure out something new every day.
What are we going to call it? The Eppel on a, I don't know. What rhymes with Eppel?
Apple on the mantle?
We'll work on the name.
Work.
I don't know. Mike, as
Mike
always.
on the mantle? Yeah.
Mike on a...
Never mind.
We'll figure it out. Bye, Mike.